Okay, another video on the Playfair Cipher. So this one, so if you follow the other videos, you hopefully have your key square set up with the key you're using followed by the rest of the letters of the alphabet in order, which is going to give you a 5 by 5 matrix, okay, as a list of lists or two-dimensional list, okay. The last video I put out there was how to convert the plain text into a list of with the correct format. So you've got no double letters and an even number. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is, and this is again, I haven't done the whole program yet, but in my way of thinking about this program, which I've done for the last several days, I think that the next step for me would be to figure out the row and the column of the two letters that you're trying to encrypt. Okay. So once you have that, it's pretty straightforward to see, is the row the same, is the column the same? And if not, you can know, I mean, you have both numbers, you should be able to get the square and get everything going. Should not be a big deal once you get that, okay? There may be a quicker, cleaner way to do it, don't know, okay? In thinking about how, and I showed it in class, a little loop that would check for columns if you wanted to start with the columns first, since that's the first example that the algorithm gives. You're not stuck with that, of course. It made sense to me, and this is why I keep talking about getting out paper. Paper is, of course, not necessary, but I wanted, we're in Excel here, I wanted to be able to keep track of the indices of all of the positions in my matrix, okay? And of course, when you start doing it and get a video, I realize this is all wrong. It should be like that. So just pretend these are all done correctly, but it's going to give us, because remember it's row column, it's not an ordered pair, okay? So I won't take the time to fix it, but yours should be 0, 0, 0, 1 as two separate items, okay? So visualizing that, even incorrectly, lets you know what your loops need to do, okay? And remember that in Python, that the big list, the big key square, since it is a list of lists, okay, if we refer to key square 0, that's the first item in key square. The first item in key square is this whole list, okay? So this is key square 1, and so forth. This is key square 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, that's what would be returned, okay? So if you're checking to see if they're on the same row, easy enough to do. You just use the in keyword. Okay, so if I want to see, and you go through till you find it. We know the letter is going to be somewhere. Let's say I'm looking for K. Okay, I can say, is K in key square 0? If it is, it's in the first row. Okay, we don't know about the column, just the row. If not, is it in key square 1, 2, 3? And if it's not in those, you know it's got to be in 4. Okay, so which row is it in? Okay, for columns it's a little more complicated. Okay, so for columns, but if you look in each column, you'll note that the first bracket changes, the second one doesn't. Okay, so for example, I could, to do this correctly, check for 0, 1. Okay, and then I would have to check for 1, 1, okay, and then 2, 1, and then 3, 1, and then 4, 1. Okay, so the 1 stays the same. So you can loop through, you can iterate through. Again, range 4 gets you the 0 through 4. Okay, but you then have to say key square index. So if I've got a 4i in range 4, I could say, is the letter I'm looking for, I wouldn't use an n this time, I do, is it equal to key square I1? Okay, the I would go through the 0 through 4 and check all this. Okay, and then whichever one you find, you would return that as the column number. Okay, so once you get the column number together, the row and the column, then again, you should be able to implement things a little more quickly. I would create a function to do this and return the row and column as the values. if you're returning back from a function 2 items, that ends up getting sent back as a tuple, okay, which is easy enough to deal with, okay. So again, as I said in the other video, we're going to continue to work on this for a few more days. Hopefully this will make more sense. If you have questions, make sure you let me know, and we probably won't work on this anymore in class, but I will give you at least to the end of the week to get this working. I think it's a good program. I think it's worth doing. Okay. If you have any questions, as always, make sure you let me know.